Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Cowboys then. Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys, they finished 7-10 last year, right? No, I wrote that down wrong. They were worse than that. Hold on.
Yeah, they were. I don't
They
have
were
that.
3-14 or something like that. No,
I think
I
the
don't.
Giants were that.
Oh, okay.
Or close to it.
Okay, so I might have wrote it down right. When you do like four different previews
I know.
notes, I'm like, did I write it down wrong? I feel like no, 7-10. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Yeah, they finished 7-10. Awesome. That you get to hear me editing myself that I was right. Okay, so 7-10. Offense finished 17th last year. They were 11th in passing, 27th in rush defense, and then they were 31st. Had the 31st defense in scoring. Favorite move that they made this offseason?
I'd have to go with Pickens there.
Okay.
Uh, I know you could. I guess you could say I'm taking all the chalk on some of
That's
these,
okay.
but
That's okay.
yeah, I think Pickens is pretty good. I know they've talked about that, about really struggling to have a good number two behind Lamb. Because you see, I guess last year Lamb was hurt a little bit, Dak was too, but in previous years Lamb was getting 14, 20 targets a game. They just nonstop throwing it to Lamb, and it's tough to win when you just are hyper focused on one guy. So I know they had Cooks there for a while. I'm trying to think who they brought in a couple of years ago. That they had Brandon Cooks there, and he did okay. But yeah, I definitely think having a we'll see. I know there was maybe a little drama with Pickens in Pittsburgh there, but if he's productive, I think giving Dak their defense, we'll see how that works out. But their offense with those playmakers could, keep them in some shootouts. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think out of all the moves, I think Pickens would probably be my favorite there to help him out.
Okay, that's that. No, good pick. I picked moving on from Mike McCarthy was my favorite move.
Oh,
I've always said he's like an average coach, and the more he's in on a team he wears, because I'm in Packer Nation, right? We live in
okay,
Wisconsin.
yeah,
So I just watched how like he had like the Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and kind of just wait.
yep,
Like it's part of my pet peeve is just kind of like one Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? It was both like the coach, GM, and
yep,
the players, but whatever. My
yeah,
point is, I was like, I didn't like when they hired him. I was like, they got to the playoffs. Everyone's like, oh, look. And then last year they had a down year and now
mhm,
they got rid of him. I think that was the right move to move on from McCarthy. I think there's sort of a time limit with him. And I think like the game passes some coaches by. I think the game kind of passed him by. So
yeah,
I like that if I'm a Cowboy fan, I'm happy they made that decision this offseason instead of doing what other teams would have probably done, which is hold on and then fire him in the middle of the season, which I don't think would have been good this year.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Okay, least favorite move that they made.
So this is funny because I actually have that as my least favorite move for the Cowboys. Not necessarily maybe firing McCarthy because I agree with you. You look at what he had in Green Bay, only one Super Bowl, struggled. Gets to Dallas. They had several, I think 12-win seasons there, but you get to the playoffs, lose right away. My issue with the firing McCarthy is who they then appointed
Mm.
with Schottenheimer. So that seems to me like a very Jerry Jones-ish hire. It kind of seems like their coach before McCarthy.
Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
so
was
I
kind of
felt the
like
same
that.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed a bit, he was there for a lot of seasons being a very average coach. And so it's like, we don't want to pay McCarthy all this. Let's just appoint our offensive coordinator. And I was looking back at where Schottenheimer had been, and he only makes it maybe 2 years at a place and then moves on. He's been like quarterback, offensive coordinator, then demoted, goes somewhere else. He just bounces around a lot and I just I don't think they're going to be very good because of him as a coach. I just looking at where he's been, and it wasn't like teams went out and were seeking this guy. It was like, oh, he's here, let's just appoint him. A very Jerry Jones type deal. So yeah, least favorite move is who they hired as their coach to replace McCarthy.
Yeah, I like that one. And the other thing is like their offense was like below average last year. So I know they had some injuries, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know why he deserved a promotion, I guess would be my thought. But Yeah, that's a good one. I like I put not resigning Parsons and allowing like this guy that's a generational pass rusher that everyone compared to Lawrence Taylor or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, how do you not have him resign? That's kind of crazy to me. That's probably my least favorite on top of the running back room who you chose. I
Mm,
love Javonte Williams like 2 years ago, but I just think he
yep.
never recovered from his injury. I don't
Yeah.
think he'll ever be the same. And Sanders
Mhm.
kind of been there and done that. So those are probably I just have those two listed, not
Yeah.
resigning Parsons and then the running back room.
Yeah. Which, yeah, if they don't get Parsons, I guess I had McLaurin as that is my least favorite move with the Commanders. It still might get done, but you could argue that with Parsons too. But I think they will get that done. You know, you look at Myles Garrett last year, he was, I don't want to be in Cleveland. I want to be where I can win. And then they throw a big contract at him and he's happy as a clam. So some people act like, the Parson thing, it's heading to a divorce. I think if they throw 45 million at him, like a lot of people say he's worth, I could see him being back there. But yeah, that definitely is a red flag because like with the Commanders, it's the story of the offseason for them, and you don't want that. But other if you're Jerry Jones though, he seems to like the publicity. So
Any publicity is good publicity.
yeah,
And that's
exactly. Yeah.
and do you want your coach, like your first year head coach, to be dealing with off-field drama like
Yeah.
the first year? I don't think so. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Green flag for the Cowboys.
I went there with that receiving duo that we talked about the skill position. I think that's probably going to be their highlight there. Hopefully Prescott can stay healthy, and I mean his injuries though have been like kind of almost freak, but like when he about tore his foot off his leg that time,
Yeah.
and then the hamstring was even most guys tweak it, and I think he ripped it off the bone. So I think if he can stay healthy, that receiving duo is going to be pretty special because their running backs are not great, so I don't think they're going to be running it a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I put defense. I like Eberflus. I like him as a defensive minded guy. Even when he was in Chicago, he wasn't a good coach, but he
Yep.
had really good defenses. And like I think last year they fired him in the middle of the season, and their defense just went downhill after he was
Yep.
gone. So like you can see the impact he has on that side of the ball. I think he's a really good defensive coordinator. I think they got riddled with injuries last year, and I kind of want to see it before I trust it, but they're not going to be the 31st defense
Yep.
this coming year, I don't think, with Eberflus. I think they will definitely be somewhere in the top 20. And I think that's a positive going in the season because if, like you said, if they can get that tandem going with Dak Prescott offensively and they have a really solid defense, they could probably surprise some people this year.
Yeah. And you talk about Eberflus, he kind of seems like a Vic Fangio.
Yep.
Fangio. I would say I say that wrong.
Fangio, yeah.
Fangio. Yeah, because I mean, he in Denver, he really didn't do that great as a head coach. Went to Miami, actually did decent there, but it sounded like he always wanted to go to Philly and went there, wins the Super Bowl, has this phenomenal defense. So some guys just the head coach, it's tough being a head coach. So
Mm.
it doesn't mean they're a terrible, play caller on whatever side they want. But so yeah, I can see him doing good there. So
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I agree with you. I think some coaches are just cut out to be coordinators and some
yeah.
can handle the head coach position. But like Fangio to me is perfect example is like he went when he just didn't have what it took to be a head coach.
Hmm.
And then and to be fair, he did get Russell Wilson thrown at him at the back end of his
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's career. So that's
You know,
you know, but he was a great coordinator for the Dolphins. I really like what he did to the Dolphins. I didn't like that we moved on again from our defensive coordinator. So
yeah.
and then what he did in Philly. So I think Eberflus will be kind of the same. He'll be good
Hmm.
wherever he goes.
Yep.
Red flag for the Cowboys.
I went with ownership on this
Mm.
one. It's just like I don't think you're gonna win a team. The drama you create is just never good. And like the coaching hire, kind of very questionable there. Not paying these guys. We'll see what they do with Parsons. But even though you finally pay them, you miss the offseason with them. You just have so much distraction. The decision he's made with from like Jason Garrett to now this coach and then even McCarthy, it just seems like they never make a good decision. The Cowboys are America's team, but they don't, ever. I don't think they're ever going to really do a whole lot with Jerry, having the reins of there.
Right. Yeah. It seems that way, right? Like seems like the game kind of passed him by.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I have the run game is my big red flag. They were 27th last year, and I don't think they've done enough to address it, to be honest.
Yep.
I also put like they're just a middling team. I don't like
Mhm.
like they have like you said the two good wide receivers, but everything around them is like below average. And
Yep.
then they have like the most to me like Dak is like the line of average for a quarterback. Like that's the worst quarterback you want on your team. That could be a franchise quarterback. I don't know about the defense. Eberflus, I think will fix it, but they're kind of like average. So I'm just like when you're in the same division as the Eagles, who are like loaded roster, the Commanders who have such a unique quarterback. It's like where are we going if you're the Cowboys?
Yep.
I don't know. So I think both those are sort of red flags for me. The run game and just sort of the vibe the vibe I get from the team just being kind of the middle of the road team going to end up with a 15th pick overall in the draft
Yep.
the next 3 years. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, you look back 5 years, the Cowboys line was talked about like the Eagles is now.
Yeah.
That was their big thing was their offensive line, and then you've had guys retire, other guys get injured, and and then now I mean, the Eagles have been really good hitting on all those players they've drafted or brought in. The Cowboys they were really good, and they just haven't been able to replace them. And with that offensive line going away, that team's kind of gone away with it.
Yeah, but like again, what the Eagles do is they're like, hey, we might have a great pass, like a good defensive line, but we're just gonna add another pass rusher.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. Like we have a great offensive line. Oh, we're gonna like Jalen Carter when they drafted him last year. It was like
2 years ago,
oh
yeah.
yeah, they had a good defensive line, and they're like, let's just
Yeah.
add this monster to our defensive
Yeah.
line. It was a smart move. It's like I think that's just a smart way where the Cowboys once they had a good offensive line, it wasn't like they kept building on it. They kind of
Yeah.
was like, we're good, let's move on. And it's just
Go
kind of bit
elsewhere.
them in the butt. Yeah.
Yep.
Fantasy football go to?
I would have to go CD Lamb
I have him too. Yep.
again. Yeah, he's just. We'll see what Pickens he could be, and I think Pickens you could, Lamb you're going to have to take, in the first round. Pickens you could maybe get later, but I mean Lamb's been there with Prescott. He's probably still going to be his favorite. I could see Pickens having some severe late round, or not late round, but middle of the draft sleeper value. So we'll see there. But yeah, and Ferguson is a good tight end, but you're not probably picking him very early. And the running backs, you got nothing there that interests me. So Lamb's kind of the guy.
100% agree. I just put Lamb. The
Yep.
running backs, the only thing that interests me about the running backs is in any league, depending how deep it is, but having a starting running back on your roster is always a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can hoard as many as possible.
Yep.
I think I'd have to be in a desperate spot to draft one of the Cowboys
Yeah.
running backs late, but that would be the only intriguing part of their running backs to me. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, and Dowdle did good last year. I was kind of surprised they didn't bring him back. He ran for over 1,000 yards, but they moved on and brought these other guys in. So,
Yeah, I think sometimes people get caught up in the name. It's like real life fantasy football.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Uh, predictions. Okay, so the number I found for over under for the Cowboys is 7.5 wins. Where do you have them, Jordan?
I'd have under. I actually had them only going 5-12. When
Oh
I went and
wow.
looked at, yeah, when I went and looked at their schedule, who they got, I think they could probably lose most of their divisional games. We'll see how the Giants play out, but I don't have really to coach. I think they'll be in games. I mean, they could pass a lot, but I don't. I think this year, especially if they don't bring back Parsons, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I had 5-12. I think it might kind of just really not be good for them this year.
Yeah, so my thought is they'll probably have an average defense and they'll probably have they have a I like Dak as a good quarterback, but he's an average
Yeah.
quarterback, right? Usually that means an average record, so I had 7-10. Like they'll find a way to
Okay.
win a couple games, maybe lose a couple games they shouldn't, win a couple games they shouldn't. But I have 7-10, and I just think that's the way I see this team is they're sort of in the middle, and they'll draft in the middle next year, not anywhere important. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll
Yeah, you're
see.
like just good enough to kind of miss out on those top picks.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. The game changers. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.